Hello everybody, it's your boy TapMana, and today we are doing our first ever ASMR deck building video. And the intention that I had with this video is to build a deck from my very own collection, share with you the idea of the deck, share each and every one card as I'm sleeving it, as I would sleeve it anyways. But the only difference with this deck is that I'll be giving it away. So feel free to throw a comment in the comments if you want a chance to win this deck. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be naming each card that I sleeve. I may not go through all of its abilities if it has a lot of text, but I'll definitely name all the cards, and I'll cover everything that's included. So if you're just listening to this video, then you can, if you hear cards that you remember, that'll be cool. But if not, that's cool too. But essentially, yeah, you got the idea. So I'll be giving this deck away on October 29th. That's when I'll be announcing the winner for this video. So feel free to throw a comment, share, like, and keep the notifications on if you want to see more of this. So let's get right into it. Again, my name is TapMana, and I hope you're all having a great week. The sleeves I chose for this deck are the General Vicar Art brushed sleeves. I haven't opened these yet, so we'll get a live viewing of these as soon as we crack them for the deck itself. In this deck, we have 5 commanders to choose from, and 2 of the guest appearances are found in these 5 commanders, but the rest of them will be shuffled in if you only choose one, and none of them have partner from what I can remember. The deck is tribal humans, with the exception of the guest appearances, as I've already mentioned a million times. The main idea with it is going to be lifelink and or tokens. So you can have the best of both worlds with it. You can choose to kind of lean more on one side as well. I also made this deck with the intention of leaving room for improvement. So for whoever wins this, you can definitely use this and still have a fun time, be somewhat competitive, but you can always upgrade it as well, or change it out, or just take the cards that you want and, trade the rest. Whatever you want to do, it'll be yours to choose. So aside from room for improvement, for the devotion, we have 38 black devotion and 45 white devotion. So I've split up the lands accordingly as best as I could for this kind of prediction. We have 29 creatures, we have 12 sorceries, 11 instances, 7 enchantments, 7 artifacts, and 34 lands, which will include 15 plains, 13 swamps, and 6 non-basic land. So again, that's just leaving plenty of room for improvement and giving us all opportunity to build on it. So let's just start cracking the sleeves first. So whoever wins this will have this fully sleeved now. I'm not going to double sleeve these because I don't have the extra sleeves right now, but this should provide a little bit more security than just adding it raw dog style. So some protection is better than none. And wherever you are right now, I hope you're having a great day or a great evening. If you're working, I hope you're having a great shift. If no one asked you yet, how you doing? Feel free to answer how you're doing in the comments as the comment, and that'll submit you for the prize possibly. Let's take a read at the Dragon Shield sleeves, because I never really look into the sleeves that much. I just think they have cool design, but I guess General Corrosive Vicar. Hundreds of orange dragons ricocheted in one another, and their bodies turning into dust in front of Vicar, forming an outline of a creature almost as large as the sky itself. The first elemental dragon born in 400 years roared. Living fire took a breath. From the Dragon Shield's and the Men Who Forged Them, Volume 1. Okay. Wow. Just in case. Wow. Whoops. Good thing there wasn't any crazy cards in there. Well, we've already made our first little bit of a mess, so we'll clean that up accordingly. We'll start off with creatures because there's the most creatures. Dragon Shield sleeves tend to have 1 or 2 more included with the pack. I've counted these out to be exactly 100. So if there's any extra sleeves, I'm going to leave them in the pack for you. And usually I sleeve the commanders separately, but because we're going to be sleeving most of them, I'll choose one of them at the end to leave unsleeved, or in a different sleeve to lesser the confusion. All right, so we have our sleeves ready to go. We have our cards ready to go, and all we need now is a place to put them. And now we have our little card box that we get from our bundles that I'll be placing the cards into. Place that right next to the mic so that you can hear that drop in every time. And let's get this party started. So we'll start off with the commanders. Now, the first commander idea I thought of was Thelisse, Reverent Medium. At the beginning of each end step, create X11 white spirit creature tokens with flying, where X is the number of tokens you created this turn. I thought that was a really cool mechanic, and I figured why not. I've seen cool decks being built out of this little engine right there that Thelisse has gotten going on over there. And then we have a Killian Inc Duelist, which is a 2/2 human warlock with lifelink and menace. Spells that you cast that target a creature cost 2 less to cast. We have a good few spells in here that do that, so that would actually be pretty useful. And, you know, I like the lifelink. Get that party started. Ambrose, Skeen of Shadow. Now, this is where we get into an exception about one of our special guests. Ambrose is a human warlock or a bird cleric. So 2.5 special guests, shall we say? Let's just be silly and call it that. And here's our first actual special guest. As you see, it's a foil Forgotten Lisa, Forgotten Archangel. Lisa, I'm just going to say Lisa. I think that sounds pretty. So Lisa, Forgotten Archangel. It's a 4/5 flying lifelink, and whenever another non-token creature you control dies, return that card to its owner's hand at the beginning of the next end step. If a creature an opponent controls would die, exile it instead. Alright, and then we have Lisa, Shroud of the Dusk. So we have Forgotten Archangel, and Lisa, Shroud of the Dusk. Rather than pay 2 for each of previous time you've cast a spell from the command zone, you may pay 2 life that many times. Flying lifelink, and whenever a player casts a spell, they lose 2 life. So we're back at Thelisse. Those are our 5 commanders. I did kind of go a little fast with Shale, Dean of Radiance. We'll go ahead and go back and take a look. This is a flying 1/1 Vigilance lifelink, and you can put a +1/+1 counter on each creature that enter the battlefield under your control this turn. So imagine with the tokens, that's pretty useful. Ambrose, Dean of Shadow, you can put a +1/+1 counter on another target creature. Then Ambrose, Dean of Shadow, deals 2 damage to that creature. Whenever a creature you control with +1/+1 counter on it dies, draw a card. Now, again, with the tokens, you can get a little draw engine here. So drawing, lifelink, counters, that's what was running through my mind when I was building this deck. And I wanted variety, so I guess we should just start sleeving. I didn't think of a format here, but we'll start sleeving our commanders here. I'm going to put Dean of Ambrose, or Ambrose, Dean of Shadow, into our first Dragon Shield sleeve here. Take a nice clean look at that. Number 1, there we go. All right. And since Thelisse was my first initial thought here as a commander, I'm going to go ahead and leave Thelisse out as commander, and then we'll find a special spot for Thelisse. Killian Inc Duelist. The way I'm talking here, I don't even feel like this counts as ASMR, but we'll title it different if we need to title it different. It could just be a Magic the Gathering deck giveaway. So, other than the 2 angels and the half demon, or the half owl cleric, these are all humans. I'm hoping I could find one and then be corrected and say, oh, this one's not a human, this is an elemental or a vampire or something. But and the way I mean, with the intention of it being approved upon, there are plenty of cards that you can add to make it better as far as tribal goes, such as Herald's Banner or Coat of Arms. Coat of Arms can be a little bit tricky, but as far as utility goes, this is one of the few artifact creatures that we have in here. It's an Ornithopter of Paradise. I have a few of these retro foil ones. The only one I'm keeping is a gift that I got from a friend, so this one I'll be giving away. It's a Flying 0/2. You can tap it to add one of any color, and you only drop it for 2. So turn 2, you got a little Flying Protector Mana Dork. Our next card will be a Triumphant Adventure. It's a 1/1 death touch. As long as it's your turn, Triumphant Adventure has first strike, and whenever it attacks, you can venture into the dungeon. So I threw a little of the Adventures of Forgotten Realms mechanics in there for the fun of it. Then we have a Silver Quill Silencer. Some Strixhaven action there. You can see we made a little bit of a mess here of our organization, but it's completely fine. Sometimes Magic the Gathering can be quite messy. So our next card will be Priest of Fell Rites. Now, if I'm going a little too fast, or if we just happen to miss any of these cards, the actual deck list will be in the description below, just to make it easy for you. Alright, now, this card's special to me. I wanted to share a story behind it. The Vizkopa Guildmage. During the time when this card came out, gosh, I want to say it was 10 years ago. I can't remember. I can't even remember which set it really came from, but I was at a house of some friends, neighbors, and close friends, and one of them, who I barely knew, actually went out and bought some Magic and wanted to throw a little Magic tournament. So everyone got together and had their cards ready, had their decks ready, and out of 10 people, I believe I won. And at that time in life, I hadn't won anything yet. And not in my eyes. And that card won me it. That Vizkopa Guildmage. Just the ability of target creature gains lifelink until the end of the turn. And whenever you gain life this turn, each opponent loses that much life. Oof. I made that work. This is an interesting card. This human cleric also passes as Deadly Vanity, which is a sorcery. So keep in mind these dual-sided cards are excellent when sleeved, but can sometimes be missed for their value. That was this. I did go a little too fast. I said I would name them all. This is the Selfless Glyph Weaver. And it turns into that Deadly Vanity. I thought I said that, but that might have been in my head, and that's alright. Another appreciation moment of the sleeve here. I wish I had a General Kudro on hand. I'm sure I do somewhere, but it must have been lost in the pile. That's what I was trying to put in here. And then we have a Spiteful Squad, which is a human Death Touch 0/0, and it enters the battlefield with 2+1/+1 counters on it. When it dies, you can put the counters on target creature you control. So I just see value in that. Getting through these creatures now. Seems like it's speeding along. Guess I didn't expect it to go too slow. Next card will be a Lunar Veteran, which actually helped me win a couple rounds when I was playing at the pre-release for the latest set here, Midnight Hunt in Estrada. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 1 life. And it has the Disturb ability, and when it comes back, it's whenever another creature leaves the battlefield to gain 1 life that you control. So, again, a useful ability on both sides. Now, the next one we have here is our Doomed Traveler, a little classic from the olden days. We have a Doomed Traveler. Whenever it dies, create a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying, and it's a 1-drop. So you get that on your first turn. You don't have any mana dorks. You drop this one right here because you know you're going to block, or you know you're going to try to get that first blood. So you can follow it up here with an Unruly Mob, and whenever another creature you control dies, you can put a +1/+1 counter on the mob here. And this one's foil, just a little fanciness for all of you, because I love you. The next card here is, again, Adventures of the Forgotten Realms. We have a Keen-Eyed Siri. Why do I want to say Keen-Eyed Siri? This is a Keen-Eared Sentry. Gosh, what's so hard about that, Aaron? Tap. This is a 2/1, and what it does is that you have hexproof. Each opponent can't venture into the dungeon more than once each turn. So if you happen to be playing someone who's playing Adventures of the Forgotten Realms cards, you can kind of shut down that mechanic of theirs. But really, I put this in there for the ability to have you have hexproof. Okay. Next card here does have a little bit more text. I say I'd skip them, but just for the fun of it, this one's Nil, Discipline Enforcer. It's a 2/2 uptight human cleric. He looks so uptight. Giving a Snape for the run of his money. At the beginning of your end step, for each player, put a +1/+1 counter on up to 1 target creature that player controls. Each creature with 1 or more counters on it can't attack you or planeswalkers you control unless the controller pays X, where X is the number of counters on that creature. You can just imagine the madness that you can start on turn 2 or 3 with this creature here. Had to put it in there. Another human doing great things. Now let's say you were playing against someone who's using a god in their deck. We have something for that too. Alright, we got Secret, God Favored. Flash 2/2, first strike, protection from god creatures. When it enters the battlefield, exile up to 1 target attacking or blocking creature until Secret leaves the battlefield. Alright, moving on now. Now we have Odrick, Lunar, Marshall. I know many of you know of this card. Many of you know of this card for sure. A million words, but essentially at the beginning of each combat, if one of your creatures has something cool like Haste, Indestructible, Menace, I believe they all get them. That's how it reads. So creatures you control gain first strike until the end of the turn if a creature you control has first strike. So yes, that's how it reads. Had to put it in here because we do have the Death Touch in here. We do have the Lifelink, among a few other things. So you get this card out and people might start sweating on you. Might have to brush them off. Our next card here will be our Victories Envoy. And at the beginning of your upkeep, put a +1/+1 counter on each other creature you control. So another +1/+1 counter it is. Again, we're just at creatures right now. We're about halfway through creatures. From right after that, we're going to dive right into artifacts. So our last all-white creature will be Nykthos Paragon. Whenever you gain life, you may put that many +1/+1 counters on each creature you control. Do this only once each turn, so don't be trying to proc more than once with Nykthos. It's not okay. That's a no-no. All right, that one up. Now we're gonna go to all black creatures. Forsworn Paladin. Definitely had to throw this one in here. It's a 1/1 menace where you can tap 1 tap a swamp and tap it and pay 1 life, and you can create a treasure token. So you really need that treasure token and you want to work for it, we can make that happen. But I really like its second ability, where you can give a target creature +2/+0 until the end of the turn. And if you use that treasure, you give it Death Touch. Now imagine with Odrick, till the end of the turn, you give something that Death Touch, and they all get that Death Touch. You're just getting a little bit more utility out of it than you'd expect that off of using it alone. Next card will be an Ecstatic Awakener, which has abilities to allow it to turn into an Awoken Demon. So we have, what, a total of 3 guests now if we make 2 halves into 1. Anyways, we'll put that on the human side. Leech Fanatic, as long as it's your turn, Leech Fanatic has Lifelink. It's a 2/2. And we want to get that Lifelink on our turn during combat to try to proc Odrick if we have Odrick, and it's for 2 drop. Not breaking the bank there. Next card here will be our Guiltblade Prowler. This one's for Modern Horizons 2. I thought this was really neat. Tap 1, tap 1 colorless, tap this, pay 1 life, and you can draw a card. You can only do that if you've discarded a card. So I'd imagine having the chance to do that, because I know there's a couple cards in here that might make you do that. And if not, why not have it as a backup? Again, this is what we mean by room for improvement. Oathsworn Knight. It's a 0/0 human knight, and it enters the battlefield with 4+1/+1/+1 counters on it, but it attacks each combat able. Now the trick with the cool thing about this one is that if damage would be dealt to Oathsworn Knight while it has +1/+1 counter on it, prevent that damage and remove a +1/+1 counter from it. Quite useful in my opinion. Quite useful. All right. And then we have Thorn of the Black Rose. We have a 1/3 Death Touch, again trying to proc that Odrick. When Thorn of the Black Rose enters the battlefield, you become the Monarch. Now, Monarch, this is again something that I'm trying to make synergistic for it, simply for the fact that with this, you have another draw card mechanism here, as we're playing black and white. So we got to make the best out of it with that. The next card here is with all those tokens that we're generating, or creatures with death procs, we can use Braid's Cabal Minion to make each other player, at the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player sacrifices an artifact, creature, or land. So if you're building those creature tokens or 1/1 spirit tokens, it's nothing to you. But imagine the pain you're causing other people who weren't prepared for that. And just look how messed up those eyes are for Braid. Great job, Eric Peterson, for drawing that. Let's go ahead and get you sleeved. I'm going to put you in front here so that people can see what's happening with you when I'm sleeving you away. Let's see here. I found a different sleeve for our Thelisse. Thelisse will just hang there. Now we have artifacts. We have Poet's Quill. When it enters the battlefield, learn. There are no lessons in this deck, so you can use the other part ability of Learn, which I believe is draw a card, but you might have to correct me in that. Feel free to correct me in the comments, matter of fact. Equipped creature gets a +1/+1 and lifelink. We want to keep proccing Odrick if we can get Odrick out. That's the idea of it. So the next card we have here, which is pretty much a library, which I said I would skip, but I want you to be captivated by the mechanics here. So whenever an opponent attacks you or one of the planeswalkers you control, exile the top card of that player's library. You may play that card for as long as it remains exiled, and you may spend mana, though, as it were any mana of any color to cast it. Now, this is an artifact. This is actually an enchantment. There's very few black creatures there, and I just kind of went through, so we'll just go through enchantments real quick, or at least the black enchantments. And the next one here is Court of Ambition. We needed to draw mechanics, so becoming the Monarch was one of the points I was going to make in this deck. To keep it interesting and keep it moving, at the beginning of your upkeep, each opponent loses 3 life unless they discard a card. If you're the Monarch, instead, they lose 6 life unless they discard 2 cards. So, get those flyers out there. You'll know what I mean with flyers, other than the 1/1 white spirit creature tokens with flying, or the angels. You'll find a way. I'm getting a little parched here, so I'm going to drink a little water. I wanted to keep this video as organic as possible with the least possible amount of editing, at least as sound editing goes. So, that being said, I forgot where I was going with that. Anyways, moving forward. That's right. I think that what I was going with that was when I was drinking my water, I was wondering, should I edit this out? No, let's just keep it organic as you intended. Since we're going with enchantments anyways, we might as well finish enchantments and then go on to artifacts. So our first white enchantment will be Curse of Silence. Now this is an extended art foil that we have here. This one's an enchant player or a curse. So whenever it enters the battlefield, you choose a card name, and spells with that chosen name enchanted player cost 2 more to cast. So I would ideally pick someone's tutor or their commander, just to kind of make it difficult for them not to get something on a first turn or to get something sooner when they need it. So whenever the enchanted player casts a spell of the chosen name, you may choose to sacrifice this. If you do, you can draw cards. So again, we're drawing cards, we're doing stuff, staying busy. All right. Oh. Rally the ranks. Most of you know what this does. Very common card. This one's a foil pre-release stamp, or I can't tell. But when it enters the battlefield, you'll choose humans for this deck, and humans will now have a +1/+1. It's for 2-drop. Can't hurt to have, especially when it has that nice gold stamp of the date on there. I forget if that's pre-release or I just can't think, I guess. It's about 1 a.m. recording here now. I waited for the most part of the day, simply because, I work from my apartment, and I wanted to make this video as organic as possible. So you might hear background noise, and that's what I wanted to be a part of this video, is just to kind of give you a little reality of my own whenever I'm making a deck late at night. This is essentially how it goes. I have it all laid out, I have it all picked, and then we sleeve it. So I'm just sharing this experience with you. Next card here is going to be Out of Time. For those of you who aren't familiar, this was on Modern Horizons 2, and whenever this enters the battlefield, you can untap all creatures, then phase them out until this leaves the battlefield. And you put a time counter for each creature phased out this way. So this has vanishing, so you put however many vanishing counters on it for all those creatures, and you just save those creatures. So not just yours, but others. Just buying you some time. Court of Grace. Extended art, non-foil. This will actually become the Monarch, and at the beginning of your upkeep, you either create a 1/1 white spirit creature token, but if you're the Monarch, you get a 4/4 flying angel token instead. We can all see why this would work really well working with Thelisse here. Okay, we have one more enchantment. This is our black and white enchantment. I didn't include this in the devotion cost because it's either or. Creature tokens you control get a +1/+1. Whenever one or more creature tokens you control die, you can create a 2/1 white and black inkling creature token with flying, but you can only do that once each turn. So you can see how this gets really maddening, having out trading your 1/1 white spirit creature tokens, or not creature tokens, but whenever your non-creature tokens go, you just have more tokens being created. Dramatic finale with Thelisse. Just a beautiful play right there. Okay, so we have our artifacts. We've already gone through Poet's Quill, I believe, and our Ornithopter of Paradise. So next, we have our Grimoire of the Dead. You can tap one and discard a card, put a study counter on Grimoire of the Dead. This is the combo that goes earlier where you can, if you discard a card, you can draw a card with that ability. And then you can tap this and remove 3 steady counters from Grimoire of the Dead and sacrifice it and put all creature cards from all graveyards onto the battlefield under your control. They're black zombies in addition to their colors and types. Talk about madness for 4. And this is a distraction, obviously. You want people to get distracted with your cool trinkets while you're building up your army of humans and tokens and spirits and inklings. We have our Soul Foundry, and when this enters the battlefield, you may exile a creature card from your hand. You can tap X and create a token that's a copy of the exiled card. X is the converted mana cost of that card. Not much needs to be said here. It creates tokens of a card that you exiled from your hand, and with Thelisse and the other abilities here, like Dramatic Finale, not Dramatic Finale, but the other abilities here, you're just winning, such as Rings of Bright Hearth. Whenever you can activate an ability, if this is a mana ability, you may pay 2. If you do, copy that ability. You may choose new targets. Now we're moving on to Mana Dorks, Mana Rocks, Soul Ring, fan favorite there. Talisman of Hierarchy. This one lets you tap for a colorless, or you can tap it for a black or a white and it'll ping you for 1. Then we have a Marble Diamond. Yeah, and I'm just trying to leave room for improvement here. And a Charcoal Diamond. Not leaving it only to the land there, just not be that silly. Now, I'm not going to go to each planes and say planes, but there are different kind of planes in there, and I'll let you guys find that as a surprise. Let's go with sorceries. We have Can't Stay Away. It lets you return target creature cards with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Then it gains, if this creature would die, exile it instead, so it gives it disturbed ability almost. And it has flashback, which makes it incredibly useful. Imagine losing your commander and you just want to let it go to the graveyard because you know you have that. Because you know if it's going to get exiled anyways next time, it's going to go to your command zone, so why not use it on your commander? Right to Oblivion. As an additional cost to cast a spell, sacrifice a non-land permanent, and you can exile a non-land permanent along with flashback. So if we're using tokens, what is it to you to sack a token to make someone exile a non-land permanent? I'm just saying, it's not a bad deal. Vindicate. Destroy target permanent for 3. 1 black, 1 white, 1 colorless. We have Silver Quill Command, a library full of text, which you can look up on your own. Again, for those who are dropping in late, the card list is in the description, and if you wanted a chance to win the cards that I'm sleeving now, this commander deck that I built, that's comprised of Lifelink, tokens, and a lot of Death Touch. It's tribal with humans. The giveaway is going to be announced on October 29th. All you need to do to be a part of it is just like the video, comment, and subscribe. If you share it, that'd be even really groovy. But the next card here is Merciless Eviction. Fan favorite. This was also one of the cards that helped me win that tournament from back in the day. Really, really useful card. Moving on. Ooh, almost dropped that. Now, moving on here, we have one of my favorite cards from this Strixhaven set is Blot Out the Sky. You can create X-tapped 2/1 white and black inkling creature tokens with flying. If X is 6 or more, destroy all non-creature, non-land permanents. Alright, our next sorcery will be Debt to the Deathless. Debt to the Deathless. Each opponent loses 2 mana, or each opponent loses 2 times X life, and you gain life to the life lost this way. So this is pretty gnarly in my opinion. The art is just really gnarly too. Look at that. Super dark stuff. Okay, and Next sorcery here, we have our Profane Tutor. I believe this was introduced in Modern Horizons 2 with Suspend 2. It's essentially a search your library for a card and put that card into your hand card, then shuffle. Great, excellent card. With that suspend cost, it doesn't feel like it hurts as bad because you're not worried about it the next couple turns, it just happens. We have Essence Pulse. It's a sorcery, extended art. You gain 2 life. Each creature gets a -X each turn, or until the end of the turn, where X is the amount of life you gain this turn. So you can see the combos that are building here with the lifelink, life loss, tokens. It's a nice flurry of everything that black and white has to offer when they're mixed in this set, or in these sets. So, Crippling Fear. Choose a creature type. Creatures that aren't of chosen type get a -3/-3. Now, this may work against Lisa if you have Lisa out. However, your humans, this is a nice board wipe to keep your humans on the board. So, excellent card. All right. Oh, we still have a couple more instances to go. I was moving a little too fast there. Promise of Loyalty. Each player puts a vow counter on creature they control and sacrifices the rest. Each of those creatures can't attack you or planeswalkers you control for as long as it has a vow counter on it. Very neat. Pitting your opponents against each other because they can't even attack you. And then we have our very famous Austere Command. Another board wipe here. Get the job done. And it's from Double Masters. Oh yeah. And we're nearing the end of the video here. I really enjoyed doing this. This was really relaxing. I said I wouldn't read everything, but I read everything because I was so just enthralled in the deck that we built here. So Ink Shield is an awesome card. It's kind of costly, but you can prevent all combat damage that be dealt to you this turn. And then for each 1 damage prevented this way, you can create a 2/1 white black inkling creature token with flying. So imagine doing that for some crazy damage, like 50 damage, whatever, some game-ending stuff, and then you crack that out. No one has any mana left, no counters, and then that with Thelisse out, get out of here. And then we have Vanishing Verse, exile target monocolored permanent. I like how it says monocolored permanent, like not just a creature. Get whatever you want there. And now we're down to instances. We have Swords to Plowshare. You gotta have it. Ephemerate. Exile target creature you control, then return it into its battlefield under its owner's control, which I thought would work great. Some of the enter the battlefield mechanics we've built here, and also as a form of protection if you needed it. Angel's Grace, split second. You can't lose the game, and your opponents can't win the game this turn until the end of the turn. Damage that you would receive that would reduce your life to less than 1, reduces it to 1 instead. Definitely a game-changing game saver right there. If you have some way of saving yourself after that 1 turn that you obviously took a bunch of damage on. Unbreakable Formation. Creatures you control gain indestructible until the end of the turn, and it has an addendum. Alright, we have Extirpate. I can never pronounce this right. It pronounces completely different in my head, but it's also a split second. Where you get to choose a card and say no, essentially. We have Plumb the Forbidden. It's an instant that lets you sacrifice 1 or more creatures, and however many you do so, you get to draw a card, but you lose 1 life. So imagine you're up on the lifelink part of the deck. You need to get some more cards so you can get some more creatures out. Trade some of that life out. It's no big deal. We have Crushing Disappointment for those who want to be a disappointment. I know how that is. Each player loses 2 life and you draw 2 cards. So you're taking that 2 as well, but you get to draw the cards and everyone else is taking that 2. So I think that's a fair card. We have Sudden Spoiling. Split second until the end of the turn. Creatures target player controls lose all abilities and have a base power and toughness of 0-2. Gotta love this card. Another form of protection. And then our last instant, a foil Baleful Mastery from Strixhaven. You may pay 1 and 1 black rather than pay the full mana cost, which is 3 colorless and 1 black. And if that cost was paid, then an opponent gets to draw a card. Otherwise, exile target creature or planeswalker. Bam! Hit you in the face with it. Talk about that. Okay. I'll go ahead and sleeve these cool lands in front of us, since they're not basic. We have a Painted Bluffs, which is tap 1 for colorless, where you can tap 1 and then make 1 of any color. I'm saying at least for the 3rd time, 4th time, room for improvement. But then we have the best land of the game, Command Tower, at least for Commander. Bam, get any color you want. We have a Field of Ruin, so you can ruin someone's field. But you can also get a new basic land card out of that way. In Evolving Wilds, for the off chance that you just drew all plains and got only and needed a swamp or vice versa, Access Tunnel to give those low cost or low powered creatures unblockable. So you get that lifelink and surety, two, maybe 3 each turn, and then a foil Temple of Silence from M21, courtesy of your boy TapMana. Let's go ahead and do a quick little edit here so I can get these sleek for you. We have a bunch of different kind of planes. I should do this closer for you. Look at those beautiful planes. This is probably going to be one of the longest videos I've ever done, and it's ironic that it's just a deck build video. I don't know why that's ironic, but I thought it was a little funny. Alright, quick edit. There we go. We sleeved all the lands, and we are left with three additional sleeves, which you'll receive with your package. You know what? We built the deck Let's go ahead and see what the first hand looks like a couple times, right? Another edit. Here we go. All right. So okay. Here we go. Our first cut. And let's draw 7. Poet's Quill. Plains. Plains. Swamp. Killian Inc Duelist. Crushing Disappointment. Oh, what am I doing? I'm missing one. Temple of Silence. Now, is that not a great starting hand or what? Should we test that one more time? Let's do it again. All right. Here's round 2. Let's see what we get for our first 7. We have a Plumb the Forbidden, a Command Tower, a Lisa, Forgotten Archangel, a Static Awakener, a Swamp, and Ephemerate. Not a bad first hand considering we have a Command Tower and our Static Awakener. Austere Command, another Swamp. Anyways. I just want to say thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to drop a like, leave a comment, and follow. Or subscribe, I should say. Sorry, not follow. But again, just a rundown of this deck. You have 5 commanders to choose from. It's mainly focused around lifelink or tokens. It's tribal based for humans with the exception of a couple guest appearances. There's plenty of room for improvement for the millionth time. It's 38 black and 45 white devotion. It comes with 29 creatures, 12 sorceries, 11 instances, 7 enchantments, 7 artifacts, 34 lands, 6 of those being special lands. So if you want a chance to win this deck, feel free to leave a comment and subscribe, drop a like, and I'll be looking out for those so I can select a winner to send this deck out to. Thank you so much for watching, and I'm going to end my turn there. I pass.